Avinash ji, I am starting with you because you are very close to me, where you are sitting. And I was seeing your signature. The signature says Mission Shunya, zero harm, which I hardly see in any signature of HSE people. So that's a compliment to you. So my question to you is, sir, is HSE is just like a compliance, or it is a strategic business enabler? How do you see it, sir?
So now presently, if you see the safety, if you'll see it normally comprises of workplace safety and process safety. And if you'll see the compliance, only compliance will not be satisfy what is the requirement of the business or the sustainability, where it should be above that, where all the risk managements, all the requirements, which has to be continuously, has to be assessed, and it has to be resolved, and it has to be, measure has to be in place. Then only you can say that you are at good health, because in workplace safety normally slips and trips which we take care of, but in process safety where each and every functions or each and every person which has to be cautious about what are his own activities or the functions which are responsible and correlate with the process safety events like rupture or the explosions or the loss of containments. So this is something which has to be there, and that commitment and the consciousness has to be there with each and every leadership team. That only will enable for the sustainable of the business and the existence of that particular industry. Thank you.
And sir, how are you building a proactive safety culture where every employee takes ownership of process safety and not just personal safety part of it?
Yeah, so if you want to do this, the first thing which is very important is the commitment of the top management or the line management team, where each and everything, what resources or the capital or the cost which is being required, that has to be provided. And whenever any leadership team, when they visits, or the senior team, they visits, right from there, the talk they do, the meeting they do, they meet, factory manager, he meets, he starts with the safety dialogue. What are the safety observations which has been conducted? What is the risk which is being identified today? Is there any incident which had happened? Is there an investigation which is being completed? Is there any overdue process safety leading indicators are there? How are there? So they need to invest quality time. Each and every leadership team, when they walk the talk, this is first thing which show that commitment has to be visible. Second thing is the competency of the team. Process safety competency has to be enhanced with the you can say various trainings. All the leadership team has to be aware about all the process safety elements, what are the importance and the risk assessment, the leading indicators, and there should be cadence where there should be periodic review of not only the lagging indicator has to be measured, but focus has to be given on the leading indicators, where the proactive, like the BBS observations, quality of the observations, how many overdue process safety critical equipments are overdue for the maintenance. Okay. What are the PHA which are the pending risk assessment? What are the measures which are there, which are being taken or not? How many measures are overdue? Okay. So these all things, and the involvement of the leadership team while doing the risk assessment, which is very important. We need to involve all the functions, and each and every function is contributing for, they should know what is their linkage to the process safety, you can say, healthiness. And right from the design, each and every function is responsible. How they have designed the robust design. Right from the design, they have taken care of all the process safety into account, including PSI and all the initial study, hazard area classification and QRA. All the studies which has to be done thoroughly. So these are all measures, and even the integrity of the process safety critical equipment has to be classified, and how those process safety critical equipment, the integrity has been maintained. So those all measures has to be in place for even, and those has to be measured periodically. It has to be whether those are in place or not. And another which is very important is that barrier health check. For each and every process safety critical events which are being there, the scenario has to be identified, and all the barrier health management, the each and every barrier, right from the sensor, the resolvers, and the final element, the healthiness has to be checked periodically. So those barrier ownership has to be defined, and those has to be always in healthy stage. If any failure which is occurred, it has to be process has to be stopped, and only the safety is not only the priority. It has to be a value system, and it has to be demonstrated. Okay, so these all measures, and we need to encourage the deviations, near miss reporting, which is again proactive behavior, where we need to encourage that, and the investigations and the kappa has to be made so that it will not lead into the major events. And learning from the incident, which is very important, where whenever any incidents which are happening, it has to be immediately percolated. Is that particular incident which had happened, is there any possibility that it will happen again in our industries? Is there any gaps which are being there? Because the proceptive events, they keep on happening, because memory is very small. The people do forget certain things, and there are always lapses which are happening. So the habit of, you can say, safety pause, where we need to share, and such kind of event which are happening, we need to share, and continuously we need to have learning culture which has to be there in the. So Mission Shunya, which you have talked about, we have started in our Galaxy since 3 years before, along with the DSS project Mission Shunya kick started, where we have enhanced all the safety competency of the team, and all the safety elements which are being there. The standard has been made, competency has been developed, and we have developed this leading indicator, you can say monitoring mechanism, and the governance mechanism, where the continuous monitoring and everything, which is a proactive thing, which is enabled us to improve the safety towards, you can say, interdependent safety culture.
Sir,
Thank you.
but do you also help other companies in terms of transferring data? Because whatever that you are doing, just like I'm giving an example, like in TL 9000, what they do is they benchmark with the respective sectors, and they also benchmark with the respective companies. So whatever learnings that you have undergone, I don't see that learning being replicated or transmitted to other companies, so that those best practices can be also be done by other companies in the same vertical.
Yeah, so we do participate. Like, for example, we are having plants at Taloja, Tarapur, Jagadia. We do participate in some of the events which are happening at MIDC level, where we do educate to the team. Even I personally participate into the Taloja Manufacturing Association, where I conduct whatever the difference I could able to make. So we participate, and we like to educate to the industries which are really required, and we like to enhance their you can say safety performance. So we do educate, and we do that. But definitely your point is taken, where we have taken this, because initially we also like to excel, and we also like to go to the world class interdependent safety culture. But we do like this even, and participate into the events, and we do share such kind of events, even the incidents which are happening, even our industries, we share, and we keep on learning, and keep on even teaching to the other industries.
Why I'm asking you this question is because whenever there is any safety breach, always the approach is keep it hush hush. So, because first of all, there is no learning which is happening in terms of what has happened in, for example, the Sigachi factory in Hyderabad. Almost around 54 people died. I went to that factory after the incident happened, and it was massive. So in an area of what we can say, almost at this stage area, majority of the people, they had just put where people had died, they had put what we can say a stick that people had died there. and the kind of impact that factory, because there was a transformer also very nearby. So because of the blast, even the transformer got affected. So, and there was a huge heap of say, all the factory different equipments were being stored in one particular, might be, say, 6, 7 trucks of material which was. So my concern is, there are two things my concern is. My concern is, let us help each other, because then only we will improve upon it, because these are life examples which we will never get. Why this incident happened, and if one can go deep dive into it, it becomes useful for everybody. And the second is also sharing, so that those are not repeated, because once we go deep dive, it helps you in terms of analysis, and finally you come to the conclusion. So coming back to you, sir, you have excellent process safety management to avoid major industrial accidents while improving operational efficiency. So how are you working on it so that those incidents don't happen, and most probably, because it also affects the people, it also affects the brand. So, because the brand takes a lot of beating if some incidents happen in a big way. So how are you, sir, planning it in such a way that those things don't happen?
Thank you very much, Pravin ji. I think this is a very, very appropriate question for any chemical industry. How do they sustain their business while they are growing also at the same time, and there are new risks that are coming up, whether it is process related or it is related to personal safety. I think these things are on continual basis. As the word itself says, HSE excellence, which is a very, very key to the success of any growth in any chemical industry. So, as Avinash already mentioned, I would like to reiterate again, safety has not to be seen differently. It has to be seen as an EHS or HSE, has to be seen as a value, first of all, in any organization. So that the business sustainability is something which has to be seen in line with the EHS excellence. So having said that, I think in DCM Shriram, what we have done, and the first thing which I feel is, many people feel that this process has been there for last 20 years or 25 years. Nothing has happened, it will not happen even today. That's, I think, the myth people are carrying, which I think we should, I think it's very appropriate to have this topic of the 2-day summit here, which is react. So one should react to any incident if at all is happening outside, and then create systems or processes. And through various innovations, you can really bring in a change in the organization structure as well. So with that, I would like to share our experience in DCM. We were focusing on behavioral safety, which is more of organizational safety, where leadership and other commitments are very much visible. But PSM was something which, I'm very honest to speak here, was something which was, though focused in terms of having DCS, all these process controls well in place in all the plants wherever we are operating. But at the same time, a structured approach to PSM was not there. So this is the journey we formally started almost 3 years back, almost at the end of 23 and 24 formally we launched a PSM program. And that ultimately is our first step towards PSM journey, where we started thinking in terms of safety. Few examples, because of the paucity of time, I would like to share, which was very, very important. At one of our site in chloralkali in Jagadia, we reviewed our inventory first of all, which earlier for last 30 years, we were operating at a very high capacity of inventory, and that was ultimately to the tune of, you can say, peso license was to the tune of some 2,500 cylinders, chlorine cylinders, which after thorough review has been brought down to now 1,400 a year back or so. And there is a mandate now in terms of the storage tanks also, the bullets. It is reduced from 5 bullets to almost now less than 3. So these reduction in inventory also has not only made plant safer, but also at the same time changes the mindset that lesser you store, the lesser will be the risk. At the same time, we also reviewed what are the flammables that are stored. Furnace oil, which was not required, there was a 270 kiloliters of tank, which was eliminated. Similarly, diesel, which was stored to the tune of some 270 liter KL, it was reduced to almost 20 KL or so. So you can see 90% reduction of these flammables has reduced the risk of process event, which we all know. If there is a personal safety incident, it is having high probability, but yes, moderate impact. But if at all there is a process safety incident, the probability might be low, but impact is catastrophic. So that mindset is key to the success of implementing this PSM program at our site. Similarly, having said all these two examples, hydrogen, which earlier there were some 10 banks which were there at the time of filling and all. Now there are almost reduced by 50%. It is now almost less than 5. Similarly, at our Kota facility, we had reviewed, and you can imagine totally the storage of liquid chlorine in our bullet is totally eliminated. And that's how this mindset is not only shared across other sites also, but in various forums, like we have other associations also, we keep sharing these good practices so that others can also learn. And that's the reason, not only from our internal processes as well as procedures we are improving on continual basis, but learning from others as well. That's the key to the success. And we firmly believe that caring, sharing and growing together is something which is a shared value which all of us should play a very, very important role in the times to come, where we are going to be the supporting pillar for making this Viksit Bharat a real reality. That's what we believe in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. My concern is there should be a third-party benchmarking, and after that third-party benchmarking, everybody should strive to meet that benchmark in terms of safety, so that everybody benefits in the whole process, and nobody should question whether that benchmarking is up to the mark, because then the industry comes together and does that benchmarking. Once that benchmarking is being finalized, everybody should accept that benchmarking and see to it that whoever is at the top, let us achieve that as we move forward.
Yeah, for that, I think there are various, now at this point of time, ESG ratings are also there, but there are various awards and recognitions also, which are equally important. That's a testimony for your good performance, which is being recognized by a third party, where assessors are, or the jury are really learned and experienced people who assess on various parameters.
Siddhartha sir, how are chemical companies balancing sustainability goals, decarbonization and environmental compliance without compromising on competitiveness? Because there is a competitive race that, okay, as I have to be, what we can say in EcoWatt is I have to be this percentile I have to achieve. Then I have to reduce the carbon. I have to, what we can say, achieve all the environmental compliances given by either the state pollution board or pollution control board or the central government pollution control board. So in this rat race, how do you become competitive and also take care of your safety requirements?
Yeah, thanks, Pravin. And I think maybe before answering that question, maybe I'll add into some of the comments made by my panelists, right? So there are very, very important points which I think both the panelists mentioned. And I will maybe touch upon something which we are doing in Dow. I think we spoke about culture, right? And in Dow we have something called zero excuses, zero accidents, and zero incidents, right? And what we actually do is that, okay, leadership is there to really look at the overall scheme of things, but the culture is actually driven from the bottom, right? And I think that really helps is because everyone is made aware of their safety importance, right? What they are supposed to do, and then that is something which is then kind of taken up, right? So it's kind of an thing where leadership decides on certain parameters which we will have to measure ourselves, but from the bottom it comes up and says, hey, this is something which we see and this is what we should have as parameters, right? And then we kind of club it together. I think the other piece which is also important is to really talk about safety from an end-to-end process, right? And it's, as you mentioned, process safety, and you also mentioned with respect to human safety and all that stuff. And if you can really look at the whole safety process end to end, and then design your safety or your your parameters which are based on this end to end, I think then you can really substantially work on the overall safety scheme. And then you can, if you have data, then you can develop a lot of AI tools which will actually be able to predict in the whole end-to-end process that where, in which piece there can be a safety issue, right? So I think from that perspective, there's a lot of learning which can come in from the industry, and in certain cases being into the chemical and petrochemical and the hazardous chemical industry, as Pravin, you mentioned, that do we really kind of benchmark, right? And we do benchmark. We have a consortium of all these industries, and then we really, really benchmark and see, hey, maybe there's one accident which happened in a company A, and we share data between us significantly to figure out what was the RCA, right? And how the other company can really benefit from that RCA, right? So I just wanted to kind of put in some points there. Now, coming back to a question on decarbonization, sustainability, health safety, how they can really go hand in hand, and then how they are really how people have to really balance between the competitiveness, right, and looking at all this stuff, right? I think as we move forward, it's very, very important to understand that earlier we could have separated some of these things, right? But as you move forward, it's very important to understand that it is not just a business imperative, it is to be embedded in your overall operations and for your success, right? So, it cannot go in different, different directions, right? So it's also important to understand that, okay, fine, and how we do it is that, we have our, kind of footprint, we have our handprint, and then we have our blueprint. So in the initial footprint, what we really look at that how you can stop the waste, how you can look at, certain improvement areas, and that you identify, right? In the second phase, you actually look at something which is handprint. In the handprint, you work on your processes, your overall scheme of things. And then you come into the blueprint. In the blueprint, you discuss your overall process, how do you go to customers, which product, the product life cycle, what is my strategy moving forward, right? And after you do this, then you figure out that what is your vision, your ambition statement, right? Is because that will drive how you want to become competitive, in the overall market. So if you say, hey, maybe I want to be innovative, I want to be maybe customer-centric, I want to be more sustainable. Hey, can I do all of this, and can I do all of this in my complete overall product portfolio, right? Maybe not. Maybe I don't have that amount of money to really spend across end to end, right? So can I differentiate between, hey, maybe this is my commodity, this is my specialty, my specialty needs a kind of different kind of, maybe spending, my commodity needs a different kind of spending. Hey, I am talking about 5 million metric tons of CO2 reduction by 2030. Maybe I have to focus on my polyethylene business rather than focusing maybe on my silicon business, right? So I think that's how you have to really look at your competitiveness and how you are able to maybe balance between the spend versus what your strategy is moving forward, right? So it's a kind of fine balance, but I think that's how you have to do it.
And one more thing is how ESG reporting and HSE
Yeah, so I think that's a very, very important
to
point,
create
right?
value for
Absolutely.
investors, customers, and communities.
Absolutely. Now, if you look at as we evolve, right, and also if you look at India, ESG reporting is now becoming mandatory, right? And honestly, if you look at ESG, environmental social governance, right? And when it comes to environment, your HSE is already integrated into environment, integrated into social, integrated into governance, right? And I think some of the examples, kind of the panelists shared, that if you have certain accident, your social is impacted, your governance is impacted, your environment is impacted. So I think when we say, is it integrated? It has to be integrated, right? The other piece which is important is to really figure out in this is that how are you actually, if you have to integrate all of this, how are you really doing your crisis management, right? So can you have a very, very, very strong crisis management in the overall process, right? Which can then help you with respect to a lot of integration when you are reporting, from an ESG perspective, right? Be it digital, be it life cycle analysis, be it your end-to-end process with respect to carbon footprint reduction, your scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, what is, your initiative. So all of this needs to be, kind of into end-to-end, and the final results are ESG goals, and then you kind of compare yourselves with those ESG goals, what you have set for yourselves versus your benchmark, and then you have certain parameters to say, hey, I have told 5 million metric tons of CO2 by 2030. Am I, where am I? And then you have to publish that, right? So it's completely integrated because, you cannot ignore safety, right? And if you ignore safety, your whole brand image, your whole governance, social, everything will go for a toss, right? So it is very, very imperative that all of these two, kind of go hand to hand.
Thank you, sir. Santosh ji, what lessons has Indian chemical industry learned in last 1 year? And most of the incidents happen when either they are starting the operations or shutting the operation.
Yeah.
And I see most of the incidents happening in the warehouse. So warehouse part is not being taken care very, very effectively. So my question to you is, what lessons learned from these global or domestic incidents, and what needs to change?
First, thank
जो हम नहीं कर रहे हैं.
Thank you to invite me this and giving an opportunity to share the forum with our seniors and steward, Avinash ji, Sharma sir, and Siddhartha ji. Question is very crucial and very relevant. Why things happening before and starting up this some operations, right? And second one, your question is what is happening in warehouse. I can share one story. In one of the warehouse, there was seasonal warehouse, agrochemical plant was there, and they are producing some agrochemical products, seasonal product. There is time to manufacture and store for some period, and selling period definitely this rainy season, so that they can get market and they can sell it market. That storage and production rate and capacity, something not meeting. Banao store without taking care of the product, hazards of product. Product was very sensitive to water, very sensitive to moisture, degradation obvious long time, and generation of the highly flammable chemical called CS2, right? One day there was some spark, something happened, we don't know what happened, right? And there was massive fire inside, massive fire. In spite of number of warnings, that's that this happened, this can happen. And there was major fire, and this fire continued around with smoke. Because their product fire is not, but smoking is there. Around 4 to 5 days. Best part was there was not a single injury. That's what very good part was there. And nothing happened there. What was there? Storage capacity. If we are producing something, we should know where we are going to store this, and what is our storage conditions. Is it capacity available or not? Is it capacity available or not? Second things, in storage tank we are storing material, we are washing material, we are keeping long time, without knowing their storing temperatures and storage time. Number of things happen, where stored long time and something happened inside, and there was suddenly run reaction. right? So storage conditions and this time, and you know this our this peso requirement definitely we fulfill requirement there something, but other than peso what? Can you bring the storage capacity inspection in time? If we are doing, then what is the action, right? Can you know if something happened in the storage area, then what action we supposed to take, right? In plant, yes, visibility is there. People are aware. They are taking care. What happened unmanned area? I think storage area, right? How taking care of this area? Majority action happened in two areas. Reaction chemistry. If in process, we are optimizing process, we are increasing production rate, production capacity due to the number of regions, and definitely we should do. Because ultimately cost is major factors, and we should compete in market. Definitely we are this seeing China, right? We are also this affecting this China effect, right? But are we studying this reaction rate, right? We have enough capacity to neutralize something happen if there. We are doing it. We are doing QRA in plant. Sir says this process safety. We are identifying the process safety criticals. If we identify that, what is about pipelines? We are taking care of our vessels, but are you considering our pump? Pump capacity is there, right? We are taking care everything related to the chemistry vessel, but pipeline is even number of things happens are in pipelines. Pipelines ruptured and number of fatality occurred there in our area also, right? Even Gujarat they are asking the hydro test of pipe. Hydro test, how possible? Well, it is not my subject. We have to see. We have to see, right? Why they asking? Because it is the neglected part. Even some cases, we are using two pumps, number of, to increase the flow rate. Are you knowing that two pumps starting, what is happening inside, right? If we are increasing load, then can you see this thermic effect on the pump? Or in cables, in pipelines, right? Even in manpower. Are you considering? So everything I can say the cascade effect to this increase the incident rate. Sir, I was reviewing this one American report. In America, around 20% chemical incident increased. See, we are giving example that they are a very safe system. But why happening? Because everywhere is man. Everywhere man. Manual intervention everywhere. We can use the AI. In our case, we are also using advanced process control system in our phenol manufacturing process. But still man is there, right? This man is trained or competent because we cannot stop the attrition. No, not possible. But if new person is coming, how we are going to focus on this man? So, Prashant, I can say it is a combined effect due to the increase of the incident. But best part is there that industry is aware, they are aware, and they are slowly focusing on this area. In last, I can say that one of industry, they call safety is not our priority, it is our value. Why value? Because we are not in safety business. We are in business, that's why safety required.
One more question to you, Santosh ji, is how can we ensure the minimal incidents while transporting chemicals by road? Because the problem out there is the labeling part first. And then do we have a system that offers quick response in case of an emergency? ICC has done working with LCS, and they have come up with these things. But what about use of technology, as Amit was talking about, or use of camera, which he was showing in the video? So where do we stand? Has this helped in minimizing things?
Yeah, very good question, very burning question also. Because we are in a business where everything doing by this tanker. Propylene from tanker, benzene from tanker, except hydrogen and some part of benzene also, right? Hydrogen are taking from this our nearby industry. but everything on tanker, yes. Now, question is the, before starting our this production, have you identified our supplier? If yes, then have we did the study of the route? If yes, have you identified our vehicle carriers to transport? Have we get this integrity? Is this manufacturing, this fabrication process? Have you reviewed or visited? Have you identified our this requirement to hire the transporters before going the production? If you identify transporters, have you get information that whether he is going to hire the driver by different processes? Have you verified the processes? If yes, definitely I can say we are addressing number of regions, but I am sorry, number of industries, they don't follow this process. First they install the, commission the plant, then we start to thinking कि vehicle कौन लेके आएगा, गाड़ी कौन चलाएगा, transporter कहाँ से लेके आएंगे? That is the major problem. Journey risk assessment is very, very, very important process during any this transport related assessment. Still, it is, I can say, this beginning stage. Yes, I can say. Transport driver training, skill assessment, their well-being. Still, I can say this. We are far, far away to compare the European and American, Canadian standard. Far, far away. But good part there that vehicle integrity and this transport assessment, route assessment, and this driver training process. Yes, number of industries are doing very good, and DCM also doing good stuff. Even number of industries, UPL, Reliance also doing very good this year. And we are jointly working with the LCS. What do you say, sir? LCS and other also, and we are also taking the ICC help to make this system very robust and this user friendly. One thing I can say in our this DPL, propylene is totally our own fleet, our own fleet. We have own tanker vessel, and they definitely it handled by some transporter, some but we have own control there. Benzene also similar things. We are facing problem in the transporting of the phenol somewhere because it is a customer this supplied vehicle. But definitely are working. Yes, in this managing of the this using of the this electronic systems or AI systems, our entire fleet managed and monitored by this third party round the clock. We are monitoring their speeds. We are monitoring their the locations where the vessel stay and what time. We already decided this location, fixed location, time fixed, even night this travel we don't allow. If there is some requirement, then they will end the process to this approve this. And in our vehicle integrity process system is very robust to check the integrity process and this training process, very strong training process in our cases for all fleet. Now we are installing this our system. That's projected by Netadine here. This driver behavior this address process also is going to start in fleet. By this way, I can say that we are in a very good condition and also improving in other areas. For example, other than propylene, benzene, and phenol, in other areas also.
I'm posing this last question to all, and this is related to studies show that while 84% of the HSE leaders see fleet safety as a priority, but many lag in digitalizing their over-the-road transport. How can we overcome this? Start with sir and then 84% of HSE leaders see fleet safety as a priority, as he was talking about, but many lag in digitalizing their over-the-road transport. So they are not digitalizing the entire process end to end. So how can we overcome this challenge so that we can minimize on road accidents or pilferage or whatever because majority of our transportation is happening through the roads. So starting, sir, with you, and then we move.
In terms of road transportation, we have taken various initiatives. Like already Santosh mentioned, we also have engaged a third party putting GPS in place and tracking not only the route, risk assessment has been carried out, but also a lot of awareness. I think I'm very happy to share with you, many of you might have seen, have you ever seen any driver wearing specs?
Wearing a
Specs.
very few.
Please raise your hand if you have seen anyone. I have never seen. But a test was carried out in our factory for 500 drivers, and there were people who were having that sight problem also. So that's something which was key for addressing the issue at the route. So they were given spectacles accordingly. So that is how digitalization at the same time, like I was very much impressed from Netradine what was shown just now. But at the same time, we also have other challenges which also needs to be addressed parallelly. So with this, I think these initiatives in terms of using this digitalization in terms of fleet management is certainly key, but certainly having all these gadgets also. Like you give the best vehicle to any driver, unless he has the safe mindset that brake is not in his legs, brake is here. The looking at the vehicle, the example which you gave, it immediately realized what, because the vehicle has hit from the backside. If you ask me, he was at fault. Whatever is happening in the front vehicle, if you are hitting that vehicle from the behind, that means you are not at the safe speed. You have not maintained the safe distance. That's one should carry in mind whenever you are driving. So these all gadgets are important, but at the same time, defensive driving training is equally important.
Avinash ji, your
Yeah,
thoughts?
so this transportation of the hazardous chemicals is very critical things, and sometimes what happen because of for the SHE professional, it's something becomes very indirect. It is not indirect of control. So we had one incident which had happened, near miss incident, where we are having EO, ethylene oxide, which normally is very highly hazardous chemical we take from Reliance. And this was coming through the, you can say, ISO tank on the transportation. And the bottom flange, which was there, it is nitrogen and it is blanketing with the nitrogen. And the nitrogen, the bolts slightly got cracked. And there are three things which are involved in transportation. One is the driver who is directly related with the transportation, who has to be very competent. Second thing is the integrity of that particular transport, where it is a tank or everything, how it is being inspected, how it is being tested, and how integrity is there. And third thing is the condition of the road and environment. So rightly said, general journey risk assessment. We have mainly taken prioritization for all the hazardous chemicals. We have done the general risk, journey risk assessment, considering this event which had been happened. And then the complete training for the drivers, which is very important, because all the time driver is very important and he has to drive and he has to maintain all the conditions. And the leading indicator like that, what is being said, we are tied up with the NICER Globe, where we are getting indicators like where he is on fast track, he is driving at high speed, immediately signal we are getting, and we consciously we are having one keeper who is observing that, and we are immediately triggering to the transporter, and we are taking particular things. So this discipline is continuously being watched and monitored, and these are certain things, and the GPS monitoring which is there, and we are also having behavioral management, which one of the thing which is being there. We are trying to employ that, and certain temperature pressure indicator, like how we can able to have a wireless monitoring for certain major temperature, because we are having like ethylene oxide where the temperature and everything has to be maintained, and this has to be there continuously, because if the 10.7 degrees is the boiling point of the ethylene oxide. So similarly for all the hazardous chemicals. So this critical temperature has to be always being there, and it has to be to the key members, and it has to be there. So these are certain things which constantly we are monitoring and we are ensuring. Thank you.
Santosh ji, Siddharth ji, your views.
Yeah, I think those are good points which you mentioned. Just to elaborate, so we have been with Nicer Globe in the initial founding days. I think what is important is that, and we all are using, some way or the other AI. It's important that you look at all those data, what is coming out of, be it Nicer Globe, LCS, or your friend Amit, as he presented. So taking that data, how are you actually simulating your challenges and crisis, right? Are you just looking at that data and say, hey, maybe how can I prevent this? But are you taking that data? Are you also taking data from your other companies, taking that and simulating and figuring out that, hey, in case this happens or this has happened, I am kind of shipping these kind of products. What will really happen to these kind of products with these kind of conditions, right? I think that is important for us to do. I think also with respect to driver recognition, driver training, and all that stuff, actually is important. And you kind of create that culture within the drivers, right? Because that is important. And you can prevent a majority of accidents, but there are certain things which sometimes is not in your control, right? And I think. A lot more focus, understanding, not losing out on, sometimes critical parameters. Chalta hai, and I think that is where those accidents comes into picture, right? So looking at those processes end to end, simulating, and then also kind of developing a culture. I think these are important parameters to kind of reduce the road safety issues.
Thank you, Siddharth ji. Santosh ji, your
Already added by Avinash sir.
Anything you would like to add?
Yeah, but I want to say only that we should give due respect to driver, like a captain, like our pilot, plane pilot, driver or train driver. We should give their due respect. And एक सम्मानित जिंदगी उनको देना है. Number one, vehicle integrity का ensure, it is not driver responsibility, it is our responsibility. We have to ensure it. And try to minimize the road transport by taking other initiative like transport by rail, transport by using pipeline system. For example, hydrogen. We are taking hydrogen from the nearby industry, but it's still in India there is a lack of the regulations. This hydrogen pipeline. We are trying to take other, but we don't know way, right? So by different methods we can this improve our road. Yeah. Thank you.
Avinash ji, your last thoughts.
Another important thing which is there is a health monitoring of the driver, which is very important. And this is something which periodically we have made as a part of contract with the transporter. This health monitoring has to be done because even the, you can say, high BP, and these are things which are also affecting when a person is long drive, which is having there, and it can definitely will have an impact. And the breathe analyzer. So compulsory 100% breathe analyzer. If any person is, or any driver who found, if he is there in the gate and he is having drink, so we ban that driver. He should not be there afterwards with that particular transporter. We instruct the transporter, otherwise we even lays the trip of that particular transporter. So we make a penalty as well as we completely instruct that this driver should not be there in this thing. So these are certain things also we have with the period of the, with the deviations we have started.